Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
Beat me if you can! Come on! It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, back at it for a very special episode of In The Kliq, and I cannot wait for WWE Hell in a Cell streaming live this Sunday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, on the WWE Network, and it's an honor to once again to be talking to a friend of the show and the current WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. How's it going, Drew?
Fantastic, buddy. Thanks for having me back.
I know, man. I kind of like to think I'm your lucky charm because, earlier this year we talked right before the Royal Rumble. Of course, we all know what happened there. And then before WrestleMania, you got the win over Brock Lesnar. Now here we are. This weekend is Hell in a Cell. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it and preview this weekend's matchup. So you are defending the WWE Championship against Randy Orton inside Hell in a Cell. And the WWE Universe, we've been watching both of you battle out the last couple of months. And on Raw this week, Randy, he cut a promo going over all the previous Hell in a Cell matches that he's been through. So for you, what's going through your mind heading into this match? And honestly, it's your first time competing inside Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, what's going through my mind is, oh my goodness, this is my first time in Hell in a Cell. It's, a match that was designed basically to hurt people. It's custom built for injury. It's made as a last resort. Randy Orton and I have been feuding for 3 months. This is the end. This is how it's all going to finish. It's going to finish inside Hell in a Cell. It can be a more appropriate environment. Unfortunately, I've never been in there before. And Randy has 7 different times won world championships inside Hell in a Cell and caused people a lot of physical pain inside Hell in a Cell. I once ran down during a cell match in 2018 with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, and I climbed to the top of the cell, and it is legitimately 20 feet high. It is terrifying up there. So I might get brave and try and carry Randy up there and chuck him off the top. I don't know yet. I've got to wait to get in there and get some ideas.
Awesome. I cannot wait just to see what new moments, highlights that the two of you can create inside Hell in a Cell. And just, speaking of highlights and moments, I do want to take a second and applaud you and just also thank you for being an amazing and entertaining WWE champion. I know 2020 has been a tough year for everyone, but you've been one of the highlights this year, and I've been loving your run as WWE champion, from your Royal Rumble win, as I just mentioned, to Brock Lesnar beating him at WrestleMania. And just since then, you've been just an awesome champion, a badass babyface, showing up every week on Raw, taking on a variety of challengers, winning in dominating fashion. So I'm just curious, from your perspective, years from now, how do you want the WWE Universe to remember this WWE Championship reign for yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate the compliments for the run thus far. I guess I'd like people to look back at this particular time in history. Everyone's going to remember this particular time in history, that's for sure. But hopefully in regards to WWE, especially Monday Night Raw, I hope people look and say, wow, that's when Drew McIntyre really stepped up, for himself, the company, and for the fans during an unprecedented time for the world, especially the height of the pandemic when there was no other sports going on and everybody was basically locked down in their homes and just looking for an escape. The WWE was pushing forward, and I was fortunate enough to be champion and was very adamant about finding new ways to reach the fans at home, like be it looking down the camera or, WWE bringing cinematic matches, just whatever we could do to entertain people during that time. Hopefully they'll look back and say, oh, it's cool that Drew was leading the charge during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said,
good job, hopefully.
yeah, totally. And like I said, I've just been loving everything you've been done. And you've been one of my new favorite, WWE champions, and what you've been bringing to the table all year. It's just such a fresh breath of fresh air, and I love it. So just kind of also going off that. So a couple weeks ago, Triple H and yourself, you were speaking at a panel for New York Comic-Con, and Triple H said that a matchup between yourself and Universal Champion Roman Reigns down the road would be a monumental match, and compared it to dream matches of the past, like Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. And I know you and Roman have faced off before at WrestleMania 35, but I'm just curious, what was your reaction in that moment to hear that line from Triple H?
They got my face while he was saying it. Like, it was probably, surprised, but I was very appreciative of such a high compliment for Hunter, and he's the one that brought me back to WWE. He's watched my entire career kind of evolve and devolve and then re-evolve in front of his eyes. So it's cool that now at this stage where I'm at, I can see me at such a level. And I think his thing was, keeping us on the path we're currently on. Roman keep doing what he's doing in his new character, and me finally being myself. Actually, I think it's more Roman being himself, because both of us being ourselves now and keep developing those characters till we get to the point that everybody knows them inside and out, and we take them as far as we can possibly take them. And then eventually, when we have that big match down the line, it could be something at that high level that he described, which is really cool. And the fact of the matter is, even if we did it sooner, it would be a big match, just because of Roman's been the standard bearer for the longest time. The past 7-8 years, he's been top dog, big dog, represented main event 4 WrestleManias in a row, proven himself over and over. But now he's taken this turn where he's basically saying, hey, I did all this stuff, look at me. And rather than the humble Roman we knew from the past, he's saying, I did it, no one else could do it. But I think on the flip side, the way I've been going, I'm proving I can do it, and I am doing it, and I'm going to continue to do it. So I think it's going to be an interesting clash of some chosen ones when it finally comes.
Yeah, no, I cannot wait for potentially, if that was ever happen again. So also, as you just mentioned, new ways to reach the fans during this whole pandemic era. And so over the last couple months, we've seen WWE running Raw, SmackDown, and all their network events at the Thunderdome. And so I'm just curious, how's that experience been for you performing inside it? And any aspects of the Thunderdome that you want to see carry on over, once fans and kind of get back to more normal down the road in the future?
Yeah, the Thunderdome's been great. I'm proud of everything we did in the Performance Center and keeping the world entertained for the months we were in there. But people turn on WWE, they expect a larger-than-life show, a larger-than-life experience. And that's what the Thunderdome is. And you turn on WWE, in the Thunderdome, you're going to see all the pyro, the smoke, the lasers, the larger-than-life feel you expect from WWE. But at the same time, you're going to have the fans there virtually, since we can't be there in person right now. There's over 1,000 fans at a time in the Thunderdome reacting in real time. And so not only is that a bit easier on the viewers' eyes at home, for us as performers, we're back in an arena, we're walking out. It feels like big fight feel, and you can see and hear the fans, which is such a difference maker. I wasn't too sure if it was real time the first week we had the Thunderdome, and I asked the gentleman in charge as I was about to walk out, is this real time? All he told me was yes. I didn't tell him what I was planning to do, but during my interview in the ring, I asked everyone to give me a thumbs up, and I looked behind me, and when I looked behind me, they weren't doing it, and then all the thumbs came up at the same time, and oh, thank God. I thought he was lying to me. It wasn't real time for a second, and then all the thumbs came up, because I didn't clear it with anybody. I just went out there and did it. That's what I tend to do. If I feel something, I do it. But yeah, the Thunderdome is such a difference maker, and going into the future, it'd be so great when we finally have fans back in the arena, but if we can keep anything, I really want to keep my really badass entrance I've got right now with all the fire and stuff, because that's so cool. I don't want to lose it.
Yeah. Awesome. Listen, Drew, I know you got a busy schedule, big media day for you. Just real quick, I want to ask you one last thing. So I was watching your 24 documentary on the network. I loved it, just you opening up on so many things, and just, the growth of sports entertainment and wrestling over in the UK, and just how when you were starting out, not a lot going on, and you had to travel to train and all that stuff. So I'm just curious, just your thoughts on the growth of, for example, NXT UK, and, hey, I'm just fantasy booking any, would you ever down the road want to challenge the current NXT UK champion, Walter?
Yes, absolutely. I've said in a few interviews that I bother Triple H every so often to let me get back to NXT UK and do something with them because, I came up in UK wrestling when there was no UK wrestling scene. I used to travel 12 hours just to learn to wrestle. Myself and some of the guys started Scottish wrestling. We started kind of getting in a groove in European wrestling when I got signed at 21 years old. As I was away, things really started to blossom. And as you've seen in the documentary, when I returned, all of us worked really hard together to grow that scene, and we took it to heights that nobody could have predicted. During that period that I was back home, and I was fortunate enough to kind of be leading the charge for independent and UK wrestling.
Yeah.
And to see it go from where we took it to WWE getting involved, creating NXT UK. I couldn't have imagined that when I was a kid, having WWE in the UK. I was literally plucked from Scotland, lifted up and dropped in America and had to figure it out. Now we've got such a great system for people to learn. Shows at the highest level in the UK, and things are on fire. I want to get back, and yes, I do want to fight Walter.
Yes.
I did try to tussle a little bit of Survivor Series. I got the upper hand. He caught that Claymore. I don't think I was expecting the Kliq to rock him so bad. But I think a full length match with Walter and I would be pretty entertaining and really get some more eyes on NXT UK.
Awesome. I love hearing that. Listen, Drew, I know, like I said, busy day for you. I just want to thank you again making the time. And as I said earlier, thank you for everything you've done so far this year, just being a great WWE champion and rep for the company as well. And looking forward to your matchup against Randy Orton this Sunday at Hell in a Cell live on the WWE Network. So good luck to you, and hopefully we could talk again very soon, okay? Thank you.
Well, I'm sure we will, buddy. Thank you for having me back. I will be back. Hopefully you are my good luck charm once again. And if you are, I will definitely be back next week even.
Awesome. 3 for 3, man. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. There you have it. Thank you again to WWE Champion Drew McIntyre for being on the show. And this was his third time this year. And I hope he can go 3 for 3 as his lucky charm. The first time he was on the show, he went on to win the 2020 Royal Rumble. The second time he was on the show, he went on to defeat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 36 to become WWE Champion. So fingers crossed he will get a big win against Randy Orton this Sunday at WWE Hell in a Cell. Catch all the action this Sunday, October 25th, with the WWE Hell in a Cell kickoff show. That begins at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, followed by the main show starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, streaming live on the WWE Network. And go to WWE.com for more info on how you can sign up. So far, at the time of this recording, there are 4 matches announced for Hell in a Cell. First up, WWE Champion Drew McIntyre will defend his title against Randy Orton in a Hell in a Cell match. Next, we have WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns defending his title against Jey Uso in a Hell in a Cell I Quit match. Also, Bayley will defend her SmackDown Women's Championship against Sasha Banks in a Hell in a Cell match too. And lastly, Jeff Hardy will face off against Elias. Make sure to follow WWE on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for all the latest updates and more match announcements. As always, my brother Tommy, our good brother Richard from Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram, and I will review Hell in a Cell right here on In The Kliq. Also, don't forget to watch WWE Champion Drew McIntyre every Monday on WWE Monday Night Raw, live at 8 p.m. on the USA Network. All right, Kliqsters, let's go home now. Remember to subscribe to In The Kliq on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're also on a ton of other major podcast platforms. Help the show out by rating, reviewing, leave a comment, and share the podcast. And also subscribe to In The Kliq's YouTube page. All of our show highlights can be found there. Also, please follow In The Kliq on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for @InTheKliq. And you can email us anytime at inthekliq@gmail.com. And once again, thank you for tuning in and for all the support. And that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.